How many genders exist? 2. More than 2. Unsure. What morons picked more than 2? They don't touch grass, they don't shower, they are unemployed. Edit. These morons. It's really interesting for them to take the stance of people that support trans people, i.e. generally left people, other people that don't shower, when you have people like Asmongold being one of the most popular right-wing influencers and streamers, right? Pretty interesting stance to take when he's one of the most popular right-wing streamers. This video brought to you by my YouTube members and patrons. Thank you guys. How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to another subreddit video. And today we are going to be returning once again to r/AreTheCisOk. You guys know what this subreddit is by now. I probably don't need to intro it. Very quickly before we begin, I have a few things to mention. So first of all, a friend of mine has started a channel and she has a video going up roundabouts this video. So I will have a card on screen either to her channel or to the video itself. Her channel is Menad Monica, so definitely go over there and give her a look if you are interested. She is going to be covering like conspiracy theory subjects and stuff, and she's also the person that, if you remember my Rapture video, she very much clued me in on that and linked me to a few channels, so that video wouldn't exist if not for the fact that she pointed me in that direction. So definitely go check her channel out and say hello from me and give her thanks for a fun video, and we'll probably be doing some collabs in the future. Also, YouTube members and patrons, you guys get an extra video on my channel every single week for as low as £1 a month. That equates to about 25p per video. So if you're interested in that extra content, please do come along, as it really helps support the channel. Right, that's enough rambling. Let's get into the subreddit, shall we? Trump should identify as female. Liberals would have to either accept him as the first female president or admit the absurdity of gender ideology. So first thing to note, if Trump came out as trans, if Trump genuinely came out as trans and started to transition, you know who would accept him? Or I guess her? Liberals. Liberals would be the first people to accept Trump's trans identity. What it doesn't change is that Trump is still a narcissistic fascist. That doesn't change just because Trump is trans. But the thing is, if Trump came out as trans, liberals would absolutely be accepting of that. Liberals would definitely change how they refer to Trump. They would accept Trump's new identity. Conservatives, on the other hand, absolutely would not. Liberals are not the people that wouldn't be accepting Trump's new identity were he to come out as trans. If the person who killed Charlie Kirk was a transgender, there can be no mercy for that species any longer. We've already tolerated far too much from these creatures. So first of all, the person that killed Charlie Kirk wasn't trans. Second of all, we mentioned that, you know, Republicans are calling for trans genocide and trying to end the existence of trans people. And we're met with a lot of, no, you're exaggerating. You're going over the top. This doesn't exist. This isn't happening at all. And then you have tweets like this from Joey Manorino, who's literally calling for trans genocide. That's what this tweet is. There's no other way you can interpret. There can be no mercy for that species when talking about trans people. This is almost identical wording to when the Nazis were talking about the Jews. Be careful out there. This trans YouTuber named Bo Blacks says he's going out to give out sex change hormones as candy to children this Halloween. Shouldn't he be arrested for this? This is obviously a joke, and this person is not doing that. Plain and simple. If nothing else than because hormones are expensive. This isn't just some cheap thing that you can just throw out willy-nilly. But also, what moron wouldn't be able to identify that this is not candy being given out to their child? Like, come on. This is just an obvious joke riffing on the fact that people love throwing tantrums over, like, oh, they're giving out fentanyl-laced candy and like all of those kinds of things over Halloween. Something that nobody's doing, but people love pearl clutching over it every single year. This is a riff on that, and naturally, pearl clutching is being done in response. I'm a leftist, but it baffles me that we support mentally ill freaks. Lol. So, first thing I gotta mention is that trans people are not mentally ill. Being trans does not just automatically mean that you are mentally ill. But the second thing I've got to add is that as a leftist, leftist. Yeah, I do support mentally ill people. I support ill people. I support all people, regardless of the kind of illness that they have, regardless of the kind of condition that they have, being able to access healthcare for those conditions. I don't understand why we wouldn't want to support some of the most vulnerable people in our societies, i.e. people with mental illness and people with illness in general. I do support those people fully, wholeheartedly. I absolutely do. And I also support trans people, and I support trans people in getting the healthcare that they need. So, I don't know, call me a crazy leftist, communist, whatever. I support mentally ill people getting help. I do. Also, I gotta really point out this person that's like, I'm a leftist, but, and then goes on to say like, basically the leftism is conditional. Like, they're only a leftist for some people. Those leftist values only apply for some people. You're not a leftist then, are you? Received from a follower at Lego Group. Store in PA has employees wearing Progress Pride flags and pronoun pins with they them pronouns. This is targeted at kids. Why is Lego trying to groom and confuse kids? I mean, it's amazing to me that they think that a child would even pay attention to that. That they think that a child is even going to read someone's name tag, because they don't. Let's be honest. Kids don't read name tags. They don't care. But also, they think that children are so dumb to think that a child is going to be confused and groomed by someone wearing a pin is like completely underselling the capabilities of children, right? This isn't going to groom or confuse any children. Trans spotted ashore in Wisconsin yesterday, monitoring the situation. Or you could just not. You could grow up and let a person that you don't know just live their fucking life. Like, I've talked about it before, but they love to claim that, you know, being trans is a mental illness, but the real mental illness is obsessing over something that has no effect on your life so much that you would be posting something like this. You spot a person just going about their fucking life and you're like, I need to monitor this situation. I can't let this go unchecked. That person peacefully living their life, not on my watch. Like, and you're claiming that trans people are the mentally ill people. The people that need to get help are the people that are currently going, I cannot let other people live their lives because I don't think they should be allowed to. I'm going to obsess over them at every second of my life. I'm going to assume that I know exactly what everyone's genitals are, and I'm going to let people know that trans people are bad, right? It's not liberals, you know, transvestigating and claiming all of the celebrities are trans and all of that kind of thing. It's not trans people doing that. It's conservatives. My mutilation went really well. That's great. My bottom mutilation is next week. I can't believe we're mentally ill. I'm a word I can't say. The funny thing about this is that I could 100% see this just being a shit post. Like, I could see this being a shit post that a trans person would send to another trans person, mocking the whole view that transphobes have. That 100% I could see this being used in that way, posted in that way. Where it becomes even funnier is that this is actually an edit of an existing meme, which means that someone took an existing pro-trans meme, made this edit unironically, and thought, yeah, this is something I should put into the world. And that's so fucking funny to me, because there's no way you can look at this meme and take it seriously. There's no way at all. And that's what they want. They want this to be taken seriously. Repeat after me. Trans ice cream is ice cream. Here, have some ice cream. Renaming things changes them into other things, so eat it. So first and foremost, this suggests that things cannot be changed into other things. So I guess you can't call it ice cream at all. You're not eating ice cream, you're eating milk and sugar. Sorry, not ice cream. If you made into actual ice cream, it would be ice cream. It wouldn't be ice cream that anybody wants to eat, but it would be ice cream. Human beings, also, interestingly, not ice cream. But if we're not allowed to rename things based on the change of state that they are, I guess we're not allowed to name anything anything. You're not wearing clothes. I hope you know the exact core elements that make up your clothes. You're not sitting on a chair. I hope you know the exact core elements that make up your chair. All of these things, you can't rename them anymore. They're not allowed to be renamed. Sorry, renaming things doesn't make it so. You're not allowed to call it ice cream anymore. Because of course, things can't change. You're not eating ice cream. No. That's not ice cream. That's just milk and sugar. You see how stupid of a view that is? You see how dumb that is? It doesn't make sense, does it? Because things do change. People can change. These are real things. Contrary to what these people might believe, human beings, not ice creams, and are capable of change. I'm gay. Do I have to do anything? Nope. Cool. I'm trans. Do I have to do anything? You have to use my made-up pronouns, believe I can get pregnant, let me into female spaces, have sex with me. Nope. They really focus on this idea that they have to have sex with trans people. They get weirdly caught up on that. First of all, if you post this kind of meme, trans people don't want to have sex with you. That's not a problem. It's not something you're going to encounter. Trans people don't want to have sex with you. But like, you don't have to have sex with anyone. That's what consent is. And funnily enough, it's not trans people and liberals and leftists that are the people that are against consent. It's the other side that happens to be constantly complaining about all of these new rules about consent. So that's an interesting one to point out. But how hard is it to simply just use the pronouns that someone asks? That's all that's asked of you. Literally, all that is asked of you is that when you meet someone, if they say that they use he, him, or she, her, or they, them, you respect their pronouns. That's literally all that's fucking asked. If you meet a new person and they give you their name, do you make an effort to remember it? Even if you're not very good with names, do you at least try and remember someone's name? If the answer is yes, then congratulations, you're a normal person that respects other people. Pronouns are no different. The only reason that you wouldn't respect pronouns is because you don't respect people as human beings. And then I would just assume that I guess you don't try and remember people's names either, because you must be an asshole. And this one carried on because the comments were even worse, because they were talking about worst are probably the non-trans that are gender fluid, and quad flux and gender flux. Bruh, a new term again? Yeah, it's true, unfortunately. And there's one called chocolate gender and demi-non-binary. I know, pure delusion. Chocolate gender. Definitely a real thing that they haven't just made up to get angry at. Like, I've talked about this before, but if there's one thing they fucking love, it's just making shit up to get angry about. Like, if you can't get angry about real things and you have to make up things to get angry about, what are you even angry at? If you have to make yourself angry to be angry at a group of people that have done nothing wrong, what are you actually angry about? What's the real problem? Because it doesn't appear like there is one. But also, as pretending that chocolate gender is a real thing that they haven't just made up, how does that affect your life? How does someone else identifying by chocolate gender affect your life in any way? How does that affect your life? I cannot understand being angry about people for identifying in a way that has zero impact on your life or the future of your life in any way, that takes the minimum amount of effort and respect given to all human beings to remember. That's it. That's all that's asked, is that you just remember how to refer to someone. Something that we've been doing for millennia, for everybody. Yes, your kid's trans thing is a phase. Then I guess you've got nothing to worry about. Hear me out. Hear me out. If your kid being trans is just a phase, humor them, okay? Because there's nothing that's going to harm them. Let them know that you accept them, that they are allowed to explore things, and that you are okay with them being themselves, right? Let them know that whatever they are exploring and whatever they are going through, you are here to help them through it. If it's just a phase, then they won't be trans. They'll be cisgender at the end of it, and you have gotten what you wanted. And if they don't, then suddenly you'll realize, maybe this isn't actually a phase and this is actually what my child is like. But in learning that, you have also learned to accept your child and shown them that you care about them, and they'll be much, much happier. You can continue that for the rest of their life, showing that you love and support your child, and that you don't think that they should be someone they are not, purely based on your weird puritanical views. Everyone will be happier that way. Encanto's Louisa is way too beefy for a woman.
Women are wonders of God's creative goodness. In an assault on reality, Louisa masks the truth by substituting masculinity for femininity.
So first of all, Louisa is literally magically buff, right? That's her whole character is that via magic, she is really strong. That's the whole point. Like, what, is she meant to just be some slim, skinny woman who has the ability to lift up like an entire church with one arm? Like, come on. That's the whole point of the character. But also, there are buff women out there. This isn't some assault on God's goodness. God made buff women. He made them a thing. So it's a fucking animation. It's an animation about magical powers. You have a kid that can talk to animals and you have a kid that can shapeshift, and they're caught up on the fact that Louisa is buff. It doesn't affect her femininity in any way. It doesn't make her any less of a woman. She's just a buff woman. These are the people that all talk about how you can't change gender and gender is set by your sex and what you were born as and all of these things, but then they'll constantly talk about like Louisa is way too buff to be a woman, or like they completely roll back on it when they'll talk about like, oh, if you're dating a man who does this, you're not dating a man, you're dating a woman, and all of these weird views on masculinity and femininity that present such a fluid viewpoint of what gender is, while at the same time saying that you can only identify as a specific thing. It's just so bizarre.
Who radicalized you?
No one. I'm just a normal person from 30 years ago. A normal band from 30 years ago. Yeah, 30 years ago wasn't that radically different. You know, you had bands like Rage Against the Machine who were burning flags on stage. My favorite thing is, you've probably seen it multiple times, but when people talk about Rage Against the Machine, they're like, why did they get so political recently? I just don't understand it. And they're like, what machine do you think we've been raging against this whole time? But also, all of that aside, this is AI art, obviously. I use art very liberally there. This is AI art, and they've put their watermark on it. They've put their username on it as if they drew this. As if this was a comic that they drew and that they're proud of. My guy, you put this into an AI with a couple of prompts and went, yep, we got two different art styles, two completely different art styles on two different people. A point that doesn't make any sense. You can send it, watermark it, out there. This isn't a comic to be proud of. You haven't achieved anything, and you haven't made anything amazing. You generated a picture with AI.
Let's be clear. If you use the word TERF as an insult against women you don't like, you're allying yourself with people who punch women, who send women pictures of axes, knives, baseball bats, chainsaws, guillotines, garrotes, guns, and swords, or gifs of women having their spines snapped and their insides ripped out, who tell women to choke to die in a grease fire, to get up against the wall. That is what you're saying about yourself when you use that word.
This person has a lot of examples of things. I'm interested, actually, in how they know about all of these things that are apparently being sent to people. But also, TERF is a term that TERFs came up with themselves, so there's that. Second of all, TERFs are the people allying with these people. You know, trans people, queer people, liberals, leftists, pretty unanimously support women's rights and equitable rights for all, right? That's a pretty unanimous consensus from this side of the spectrum, right? You will never meet a trans person who doesn't support equal rights and especially women's rights. Yeah? Let's get that out there. However, you will meet, and you'll regularly meet pretty much every single time, a TERF who allies themselves with right-wing misogynists, okay? Very, very famous example, J.K. Rowling very famously sided herself with people like Matt Walsh, you know? Matt Walsh being a self-proclaimed Nazi and has very misogynistic views, right? TERFs side themselves with those people because TERFs don't want equal rights for all. They want to kick the ladder out below them. They want to get to a position where they have enough rights to get by, but that other people can't also get those rights. And trans people get in the way of that for them. They think that if trans people get equal rights to them, then it diminishes their rights somehow, which is complete bullshit, right? Trans people will stand up for women's rights, and a lot of women will stand up for trans people's rights. TERFs, on the other hand, will ally with the people actively trying to remove people's rights so that they can get a leg up. Now, obviously, this is going to result in the Leopards Eating Faces party eating their faces, but they don't care because they get to hurt trans people in the way. How can you call yourself a feminist if you don't support the rights of all women and you don't support the rights of all people, and you would kick the ladder out below you to hurt trans women just so that you yourself can feel a bit better about yourself? Trans people, unanimously feminists. TERFs, on the other hand, I wouldn't even call feminists. And the final post.
Replace stranger with children and the hat with a T-cell flag. I just can't stop thinking about children's genitals. Yes, finally an accurate meme.
Except it's the opposite. The whole point is that we're not thinking about anyone's genitals, let alone children's genitals, right? That's the whole point. If someone tells me what gender they identify with, that's their gender, and that's the end of the story. I don't care about what genitals that person has. If a child tells me he's a boy, then he's a boy. She's a girl, she's a girl. They're anything else, they're anything else. I'm not thinking about their genitals, and I'm not thinking about whether their genitals line up with their gender. That's conservatives. That's transphobes. Transphobes see someone go, hi, I'm a man, and they go, oh, but do you actually have a penis? Or they see someone say, hi, I'm non-binary, I use they, them, and they go, actually, you're whatever's in your pants. Or they see a child enter a race in school and go, I don't know if that's really a girl. Sorry, we're going to have an inspection. She shouldn't be allowed to race. Or they try and gatekeep bathrooms where you have to prove your identity. It's not trans people doing those things. It's not trans people obsessing over what's in someone's pants. Trans people are there going, you are what you say you are. I don't care about anything else. Conservatives are the people obsessing over the genitals. That's it. At the end of the day, it's conservatives obsessing over genitals, not trans people. And that is where I'm going to end the video. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed. Slightly longer one today, but you know, I hope you guys enjoy that. If you would like to support me in making more content like this, then I have a Patreon in the description down below. I pointed really early then, I don't know why. Or equally, you can click the join button on the channel to support me. It helps a lot more than you might realize, but by no means should you feel like you have to. I'm going to keep making content regardless. You get an extra video every single week for as low as £1 a month. That equates to about 25p per video, so please do consider joining, as it does really help. A massive, huge, special thank you to all of my wonderful YouTube members and patrons that do support me. All of your names are up on screen right now. It genuinely helps so much, and it genuinely means so much, so thank you to everybody that does, genuinely. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Peace out.